You may have heard about the Myers-Briggs personality test. If you're working with a team or if you're working with anyone in general, you've probably realized that we all act in different ways under different circumstances. And Myers-Briggs came up with a personality test to figure out the differences in those personalities so we can learn to work together. I'm going to show you how to get your personality type and then also to get other people's personality types so it can really help you when working with a team. Your Myers-Briggs personality type is 4 letters, and it comes from each of these 4 areas. We've got inwardly or outwardly focused. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Are you sensing when you're taking in information, or do you use your intuition when taking in information? Do you use thinking, pure thinking, when you're making decisions, or do you use your feelings when you're making decisions? And for your outer life, do you judge things or do you perceive things? Putting all of these together will give you 4 letters, for example, an ESFJ, for example, and that will give you some clues to yours and other people's personalities. Let's go and find your personality, and then we'll find out where that fits on the scale. The first one, are you an introvert or an extrovert? An introvert is reserved or private, prefers slower time to communicate, and they're energized by time alone. Is that you? Now remember, we can only choose one here, so choose the one that is most like you. Sometimes we will feel like we have both of these in our lives, but we just have to choose the one that is most like us. Are you an extrovert, where you're outwardly focused? You work and think out loud with others, and you're energized by people. Pick one of these, an I or an E, and then we will move on to the next one, which is sensing or intuition, where how do we take in information? Are you sensing, where you focus on the reality of things, the facts and details, the practical applications, and you make specific descriptions when you're describing things? Or is it more intuition for taking in information, where you imagine the possibilities of how things could be, the big picture and how things connect, and looking at the big ideas and concepts? Pick one of these, an S or an N, and then we'll move on to the next one, which is thinking and feeling, and how we make decisions. Do you use thinking with impersonal, using logic, value fairness and justice? Or do you enjoy finding flaws in arguments and debating? Or do you use your feelings more with decisions through personal values, harmony and forgiveness, and having more warm and empathetic conversations with everyone included? Choose a T or an F for this particular one. And remember, it's just the one that you are most like. Sometimes you will have a little bit of both. Then we'll move on to the last one, which is judging and perceiving for our outer life. Judging prefers matters to be settled. We have rules and deadlines, and we have everything in a nice, neat little box. We don't like surprises, and we make plans and try to stick to them. But perceiving, on the other hand, prefers to leave options open, improvising and making things up as we go, or we're a bit more spontaneous here. This is your perceiving. So choose a J or a P, and then put all of those together to find your Myers-Briggs personality. So you might have an ISFJ, for example, one out of each of these, and put them together. And we're going to go through each of these personalities so you can help understand yourself and your team. Starting with ISTP, known as the mechanic. The strengths: if you are an ISTP, you can remain calm while managing a crisis, quickly deciding what needs to be done to solve a problem. But also, we might need to develop, because we're focused so much on what needs to be done immediately in the moment that we can sometimes fail to see the big picture. Characteristics of an ISTP can be analytical, practical, realistic, but also logical and adaptable when they need to be. Next, we have the ISFP, the creative. Strengths: if you're an ISFP, you're a creative visionary who enjoys providing practical help or service to others, as well as facilitating, encouraging cooperation as groups. Development areas: you sometimes put off making decisions in the hope that a better opportunity will come along. Maybe you put too much emphasis on getting the group to decide, and so it's hard to make those decisions. Characteristics: cooperative, modest and adaptable, and also gentle and loyal, helping that team, helping come to creative ideas and collaboration. After that one, we have the ESFP, the performer. Strengths as an ESFP. You're adaptable, friendly, and talkative. You enjoy working with others and experiencing new situations, getting that variety into your life. Development areas, you have trouble meeting deadlines. Maybe you're looking at the big picture too much, and now we're not focusing on those deadlines coming up. And you don't always finish the things that you start. Maybe there's a lot of irons in the fire. You've got a lot of things going on, and it's hard to finish all of them. Characteristics, we have tolerant and spontaneous, as well as playful, enthusiastic, and also resourceful. Next, we have ESTP, the doer. The strengths as a doer, you apply common sense and experience to solving problems, quickly analyzing what's wrong and then fixing it. You're getting things done. Development areas, being so focused on the immediate problems might lead you to ignoring the long-term systematic problems out there in the future because we're so focused on what's going on right here in this minute. Characteristics, we're analytical, looking at the data and analysis, still outgoing and enthusiastic and very, very logical, making sure that everything lines up. Next, we have the ISTJ, the duty fulfiller. Strengths as a duty fulfiller. You enjoy working within clear systems and clear processes. You can get things done as long as you know what you have to do. Development areas, you can become set in your ways in those set processes, and sometimes you could be seen as rigid or impersonal because you're just following that process and you can't be flexible outside those areas. Characteristics, though you're thorough, you really get into the nitty-gritty of things, conscientious about following that process, realistic, but also systematic and a little bit reserved so you're not out there and gregarious like some of the other personality types. Our next one is the ISFJ, the nurturer. Strengths as an ISFJ, you apply common sense and experience to solving problems for other people, not just for yourself. The development areas, though, you may be overly cautious and risk basing your decisions on what you think will please others. You're trying to help other people, and sometimes that comes at a cost of your own feelings and the things that you want to do. Characteristics, you're organized, practical, and patient with people, and you're dependable and loyal. A great person for helping others on your team. Our next personality is the ESTJ, the director. Strengths as an ESTJ, you drive yourself to reach your goal. The director, you're directing things, organizing people and resources in order to achieve that goal. Development areas, though, you tend to be so focused on your objective or the pursuit of your goal that you can ignore the ideas or feelings of others along the way. Characteristics, you're responsible and efficient and can be assertive to try and get to that goal, as well as being logical and realistic. So you do need to combine all those things to convince people to come along on the journey and make those things happen. Next, we have the ESFJ, the caregiver. Your strengths as a caregiver, you're sociable and outgoing, understanding what others need and express appreciation for their efforts. So you're really bringing everyone along for the journey and saying, hey everyone, let's get this done together. Development areas, you are overly influenced by what you think others want, so you are outwardly focused, and you might find it difficult to adjust plans in response to unexpected opportunities, so sometimes we can't adjust if something comes out of left field. Characteristics, you're warm and appreciative, as well as outgoing and supportive of the people around you. Into the next half, we're into the INFJs, the protector. As an INFJ, your strengths are you enjoy finding shared vision for everyone, helping everyone come to the same conclusions, inspiring others, and devising new ways to achieve that vision together. Development areas as an INFJ, you're private though, and you may do all of your thinking in a vacuum, resulting in an unrealistic vision that's difficult to communicate. It's hard to get your vision out there to the other people, but you enjoy it when it is being shared and you help everyone come along for the ride. Characteristics, you're compassionate, idealistic, as well as imaginative, and you do have that long-term visionary skill in that sense. Next, INFP, the idealist. As an INFP, your strengths are you enjoy helping others with their growth and inner development to help reach their full potential. So you're helping others, focusing on others, but you're looking at the big picture and their growth. Your development areas are you might struggle to speak up in meetings, leading others to believe that you have nothing to contribute, but that's not actually the case. You've got a lot to contribute and you really want to help other people grow at the same time. Characteristics are you're flexible, spontaneous, as well as reflective and contained. So you're not going to be stuck into just one way of working with a process. You can respond when something comes out of left field. Next, we have the ENFJ, the giver. As an ENFJ, your strengths are you're able to get the most out of teams by working closely with them and making decisions that take into account those values of others. So you are focused on others' values. But your development areas are you might talk a lot yourself and become discouraged if you do not receive a lot of feedback from others. Remember, not everyone is going to be like you and outgoing. Sometimes you'll have some of those reserved people in the team and they're not going to be as forthcoming with ideas to help you work closely together. Characteristics are you're warm and collaborative and supportive as well as organized. Our next one coming up is the ENFP, the inspirer. As an ENFP, your strengths are you're willing to consider almost any possibility and often develop multiple solutions to a problem. It doesn't matter if something comes up, you can take that into consideration and come up with more solutions. Nothing is too difficult for the inspirer. Development areas, you may not follow through on decisions or projects and risk burning out from overcommitting or following every possibility. There's so much going on for an inspirer, it's hard to finish every single one. Characteristics, you're friendly and expressive, as well as innovative and also energetic. Our last section, we've got the INTJ. As an INTJ, the architect. Your strengths are you're able to define a compelling long-range vision, and you can devise innovative solutions to complex problems. But it's easy for you to do this alone as an introvert. Your development areas, you may come across as cold and distant when focusing on the task at hand instead of focusing on the needs or the ideas of others. Characteristics, you're strategic and conceptual, as well as innovative, independent, and logical. So you may be working alone, but you can really come up with the truth of a situation, whether you're working with other people or not. Our last three with the INTP. As an INTP, the thinker, your strengths are you can adopt a detached and concise way of analyzing the world and often uncover innovative approaches. So you're coming up with many different things that other people won't put together. You have a truly unique way of thinking. Your development areas might be that you struggle to work in teams as an introvert, especially with others who you perceive to be illogical or insufficiently task-focused. The characteristics of an INTP, independent and detached, as well as skeptical of others' opinions and innovative in your own approach. Second last is the ENTJ, the executive. Strengths as an executive, you're able to efficiently organize people and resources in order to accomplish long-term goals. Development areas, though, you may overlook the contributions of others and the needs of people who implement your plans. So you are able to organize everyone to come together, but it's also important to remember their needs and their inputs. Characteristics, you're structured and you can challenge that status quo. You also tend to be strategic. Look at the big picture and questioning that big picture approach so you make sure that the team is going in the right direction. Lastly, we have the ENTP, the visionary. Strengths as a visionary, you enjoy developing strategy and often spot and capitalize on new opportunities that present themselves because you have that big picture thinking. Development areas, though, you might avoid making decisions and may become excited about ideas that are just not feasible because of constraints on time or resources. There's lots that you want to get done, and sometimes we just can't do it all. Characteristics of an ENTP, emergent and theoretical, as well as imaginative and challenging to that status quo, looking at that big picture and making sure the team is working on the right things. And those are all the personalities in the Myers-Briggs personality test. I hope you had a whole bunch of fun finding your personality, and please send this to someone who you think could benefit and find their personality so you can work better together as a team. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.